everyone, it's Mithril and welcome back to my journey of learning to draw. So the lamp finally got here and it's in a very efficient and sturdy box. As I was getting it out and putting it together and lighting up the inside of the box, I was a bit confused at their instructions in the video. Basically what they said was I would be putting the lamp on top of the box and then sort of turning the neck around to put the light inside. But the lamp that I got, which is one of the ones that they recommended, you can't even move the neck down enough to reach the base of the lamp. So in the end, I just put the lamp next to the box and cut a hole for it and put the light through. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I guess just be aware of what kind of lamp you're getting and make sure you're putting your box in a place where you can attach that lamp properly. Because some of the lamps at IKEA, they have a version where you can squeeze it onto the edge of a desk or a table or something. But something like that wouldn't be able to attach to every type of table if it's like too thick or something. So in order to cut out this hole in the box, I decided to change out the knife blade on my craft knife for the first time since I got it like 5 years ago for a drawing class, and it made such a difference. I don't know, I'm not very handy or crafty, so I don't know much about these things, but when I was cutting out the hole for the box a few weeks ago, it felt like such an effort. I was like fighting it and dying and hurting my hands, and this time I just stuck it in and it cut like butter, and I was like, oh, maybe I should have swapped out the knife blade. So I guess keep that in mind if you're like me and you don't like using things up. I was just like, what if I can squeeze a little bit more juice out of this one? No, I could have saved myself a lot of wrist pain and finger pain. So lately, I feel like I've been in a bit of a rut. Like doing Evolve and doing YouTube is like the last thing that I ever want to do again. I guess obviously I've done some Evolve and I'm recording this video now, but these are my feelings as of like a week ago or something. Like usually I feel like this tiredness and this emptiness after I finish making a video. The completionist in me likes to make and edit an entire video in one day. I don't like to sleep before it's done, but at the end of that day, I am just exhausted. And then I'm like tired for the next week while I regenerate energy. Then a week later, I've got all my energy back and I'm like, ooh, I'm so excited to make another video. I really want to get some more info out there. I've got so many thoughts to share. But this time it's been like a week, almost 2 weeks, and I just feel really tired. I think part of it is because doing these proportional drawings isn't the most inspired artistic practice I could be doing. In fact, I think I'm getting kind of bored. Like after doing 5 or 6 of them, I was pretty tired of it, and I had to really push myself to go back and find more things to draw and set up another still life and sit down and measure out some more proportions. I also realized something lately, and that's that I want to get back into studying Japanese. A friend of mine, Jay-Z, came up to me and he was like, hey, do you want to go through the Duolingo Japanese tree together next year? And I was like, I've heard that it's not very good. I think they updated the curriculum, but I'm still not sure whether it's like the greatest resource. And he said, well, it's better than nothing. And I died a little bit inside because I started learning Japanese about 1.5 years ago, and I've been sort of on hiatus for the past year. I feel like I didn't have any time. I was so busy studying for my exams, and then I fell into doing Evolve Artist, and I've just really left behind Japanese. But throughout this whole time, I kept on telling myself, I really want to know Japanese. I want to study Japanese. I want to do all the things that I originally wanted to do, like watch shows and play video games and visit Japan and know what I'm doing. And when am I ever going to have time to learn Japanese? When is there ever going to be a good time to do it? And this feels like really deja vu because I feel like I found all these answers years and years and years ago. It's the stuff I keep telling myself about art, about how there's no good time to start, about how like the only time that's worse than right now is later, and all sorts of stuff like that. And it feels like I've come to this conclusion again. And it feels kind of weird where I'm realizing, hey, this is something that I really do want to do, and it's something that I haven't made time for. It's not that I don't have time, it's that I haven't made time for it. And in the overall arc of my entire lifetime, I see myself at the end knowing Japanese. And so I have to change my life in order to include it. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be doing or how much I'm going to study, but I think it'll also be a welcome respite from learning art. For the past few months, I feel like I've lost a lot of my art practice time because I've had to study for my actuarial exams, and I really wanted to catch up and do the most that I could. But now I realize that even if I want to give all of my time to art, I can't. I need a break from it, as I'm being shown by my boredom, a little bit of hesitancy, having to push myself to do art. Part of what's been holding me back ever since I decided I wanted to learn Japanese is looking through all the resources and feeling so overwhelmed that I'm gonna make the wrong choice and not do the right class, and it's gonna put me way behind. So I've been just doing research, and not really getting started. I think me sort of rediscovering the fact that I need to make time for the things I want to do, and that one of my biggest enemies is being paralyzed by having so many choices and wanting to optimize my study schedule rather than just choosing one and starting. It's something that I feel like I already knew, and yet I'm learning it again now. And it reminds me of what Volin CK was talking about with learning art skills. Like, everything is cyclical. You learn enough to move on to the next thing. And then whenever that's the thing that's holding you back, you circle around and you keep improving everything. You have to improve everything. You never truly learn something or master it. You only learn it well enough to level up, and then you move on to the next skill and come back and cycle. I'm also realizing that, hey, the time I'm spending away from Japanese doing art and learning about myself and how I like to learn is gonna come back and help me with my Japanese. Because as I looked through art resources and looked for something that really suited me, I realized that A, I don't like studying from textbooks, and B, I'm just really looking for an all-inclusive program so my mind doesn't have to wander all over the place anymore, and that is how I've been able to stick to studying something consistently. Just knowing this already puts me at an advantage to when I was learning Japanese the first time. Because on all these language learning guides and websites, they always recommend this list of like holy grail textbooks, and I tried to learn from them, but it just sucked and I didn't know why I couldn't stick to it. I tried to make this whole convoluted set of flashcards and learning from like 3 different books at once, and then adding in like listening practice and reading practice and just overwhelming myself. I took this journey away from Japanese, picked up some skills and learned more about myself, and now I'm coming back in a cycle to have this new knowledge help me improve my Japanese. And I'm sure that through my Japanese studying, I'm going to learn even more about my preferred study methods and techniques. And then whenever I start a new hobby or any sort of pursuit, I'll be starting further and further away from absolute zero, just through learning about myself and becoming more experienced with the skill of learning and starting things. Speaking of finding joy in art, Jay-Z also recommended that we do like a December redraw for the monthly challenge. And I felt like it would be fun because I haven't drawn much other than the Evolve Artist stuff ever since August, I think. And before that, I had my exams. And so it's been a while since I did much fun art, stuff that isn't homework and paintings and exercises. So I decided to redraw my first fan art that I ever did, 2B from Nier Automata. And at first I tried to draw it like completely from imagination because I felt like that's what the rules were, you know? Like in the original drawing, I didn't look at any reference other than, you know, what her clothes and her hair looked like, and I drew the whole thing and I was so proud of it. Like I loved that piece of art. It was my first fan art that I ever made, and I was so proud. And I believe that was from October 2019, so a little bit over a year ago. And so as I sat down to do my redraw, I was thinking, well, I shouldn't use any reference because I didn't use any reference back then, but then the drawing wasn't going so well, and I was like, well, times change. I feel like I realize now that it takes a skilled hand to take a reference and turn it into a piece of art. And if I have to use this tool to make the vision that I have in mind for what I want this piece of art to look like, then I would be a fool not to. So I looked up references for what I wanted to draw, and I drew this sort of pin-up 2B in her skirtless outfit, and I feel so happy with it. Like, I can't believe I even made that, especially since figures and characters are not something I've been focusing on at all for the past few months. I feel especially proud of the way that I colored in her top. I feel like it was definitely very ambitious for me. I was worried that I would lose all the lines and all my hard work. As you can tell with my earlier drawing, I just sort of like halfway colored it in because I felt like that would be the best way to still convey the lines that I had drawn and keep the form. But somehow just through, I don't know, life, experience, not even much practice, I realized like, oh yeah, I know previous artists, whenever they draw something that's like pure black, they'll leave like a little edge in order to show the indication of the form change. And so I gave it a try, and I feel like, you know, it's a pretty good first attempt, and I'm just really excited that I can see my improvement. I think it's interesting because I've not only grown in my art skill, but I've also grown in my mindset. Like back then, I felt like references were something I could be proud of not using. And now I realize that references are just a tool to help me push my artwork past my natural boundaries. And that evolution in my mindset has probably increased the quality of my artwork much more than just the book knowledge that I've learned. And also this will help me as I continue to learn. Like, it reminds me of what Volin CK said. The stuff that you do to learn to draw doesn't always look like what you want to draw. And I feel like I sort of proved that to myself here. I haven't been drawing 2Bs and figures and people, but through my other fundamental learning, it's improved. Yay! So if you're curious about the type of method that we're using to measure out and draw the proportions, there's a really good video on the Evolve YouTube channel that Daniel Folta made about perception and proportions and stuff. Oh yeah, and they have a YouTube channel now. It's pretty new, but Daniel's pretty cool, and he's making videos about Evolve and learning art in general. So if you want to know more about the philosophy of Evolve, definitely check out their channel. It's really interesting and useful. So there's a couple things that I'm a bit confused about when it comes to doing these proportional drawings. First of all, whenever I'm like holding up the needle and then I get close to the edge of an object, it like distorts the light near it, and it like pushes the edge in slightly, which makes it hard to tell whether or not I'm at the edge or not. I hope that makes sense. You know, like if there's like a fire and you see the light sort of rippling above it, it's kind of like that, but whenever I get like the tip of the needle close to an object. I'm not sure what to do about that. I guess I can just sort of try to pretend that the edge didn't just move, but I think I really need to get used to this. Something else I've been having trouble with is winking. Closing one eye, it hurts. Like, my eye muscles have been getting so exhausted keeping one eye shut. And plus, whenever I keep it shut for a long time and I open it up again, my vision is really fuzzy. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Like, if you close your eyes and then you sort of like rub on them with your fingers, your eyes will be blurry for a little while. It feels like that whenever I'm winking and trying to look through my open eye, and it kind of hurts. I don't know if that's gonna get better or if I just need to get used to it, or maybe it'd be easier with an eye patch. I don't know. I just don't like the motion of like squeezing my eye shut. Also, it takes so long to find things to paint and draw. I never realized how few things I owned until now. I mean, I guess I have some like random knickknacks, but I can't draw anything like this yet. And I've been running all over the apartment trying to find new exciting things to draw. Like, I've been in the board game shelf, I've taken vitamins off of the dresser, I've taken spices out of the spice cabinet, I used art supplies. I remember someone on the Facebook page said that whenever they're doing paintings now, like, they literally take as long to find objects to paint as it takes to do the entire painting. And like, I'm already feeling that, and I'm only like 11 exercises into this. I think this is the thing that is making me realize why people go to school. Why do people go to art school and go to art studios? It's because they have so many objects to paint. Oh my god, like, I can't believe how good I had it when I went to this drawing class, and they just put out piles of statues and grapes and apples and whatever. Wow, so you're telling me that whenever we pool our resources, we can have a better outcome overall. Anyway, so it took me about like a week between the last proportional drawing and the first proportional drawing painting from direct observation. It just takes me a bit to like work up the momentum to watch more instructional videos. I like just doing the art and watching a YouTube video or listening to a podcast or something, and it feels like such an effort to have to listen to more lessons. But I finally got myself to do it. It's still early over the holiday break, so I feel like I haven't lost my entire break yet. The main things that he said this time are that we should be treating our works professionally and really putting in the effort. And that if you don't treat your artwork like it's professional, then you're always going to be a little weaker than you're capable of because you're not pushing yourself. As soon as you learn something, as soon as you level up, you should try to push yourself to the limit of your skills in order to improve. But also, you should only take on projects that you are confident that you can execute. And at the end, you want to feel like you're moderately successful, right? You don't want to like smash it out of the ballpark because that means you chose something that's too easy and you probably didn't learn very much. But if you overreach and you're struggling just to survive the painting, then you won't have learned very much either. Basically, what I took away from this is that choosing subject matter is really complicated, and I'm not sure if I have enough possessions to do this properly. I kept on going around my room in circles thinking, that's too simple, that's too hard, that's too simple, that's too hard. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. It makes me want to just go out and buy random stuff to paint it. Anyway, it feels really good to get back into painting. Like, I almost forgot the amounts of oils and stuff to mix into the paint, even when it was so easy for me before. I guess this just shows that you really do need to keep reinforcing that knowledge or you will lose it. I mean, it's only been a month since the last time I painted, but it's already like faded from my memory. So overall, homework 6 took 41 minutes, homework 7 took 53 minutes, homework 8 took 41 minutes, homework 9 took 35 minutes, homework 10 took an hour and 12 minutes. I feel like I was definitely a bit too ambitious on this one. I was like, oh, it's the final drawing, I'm gonna go ham, and then I totally got some of the proportions wrong, oops. And homework 11, first painting, took me 3 hours and 46 minutes, including watching like an hour of video. I hope that everyone had a great holidays and that you have a great start to your new year. Stay safe and healthy out there, and remember that talent is a myth. Now, get back to work.